I am Ms. Frazier's mom, and I wanted to tell you about September 11th, 2001, how I remember it. I was a new mom. I had a 7-month-old baby girl at home, and I was had taken on the role of a MOPS coordinator at our church, which is Mothers of Preschoolers. And we were preparing for our first meeting, which was going to happen on September 12th. And so we met at a friend's house to go over our meeting and make sure we had everything coordinated, and we all had our kids and they were playing, and we were getting the meeting underway, and a friend of ours called and said, turn the TV on, a plane's hit the World Trade Center. And so Penny's fumbling around and she gets the TV on and she turns it on just about in time for us to watch the second plane hit the trade centers. I guess I remember I remember watching the news reporters' faces, because you're watching history live on television. That was interesting. So I called my husband at work and let him know what was going on, and he, because of where we live and everything that goes on, it's really hard to get phone calls through that day. All the emergency 911 lines started bogging down. Personal lines started bogging down. Just trying to get phone calls to each other was incredibly difficult that day. And as we're watching the TV, at this point we realize that this is not just an accident, somebody miscalculated their flight, that this was a legitimate attack against our country. And then we get reports that it had hit the Pentagon, and at that point our meeting was then switched to basically taking attendance. My friend's house that we were at would do prayer chain for church, and so we started going through our head the people we knew working at the Pentagon, and we wanted to make sure we knew where they were and if they were okay. So phone calls are coming in, and in the process, one of the other ladies that was at the meeting, her dad was a pilot, and he was flying that morning. So she's on a cell phone trying to find out where her dad was and where his flight was and if he was one of the planes. So there's just a lot of confusion, a lot of uneasy, unknown, terrified things going on. And at one point, my husband told me to go home and just wait for him to come home there. And so I packed Abby up in the car, and I'm driving through town, and to this day, one of my most vivid memories from 9/11 is watching our postmaster in town lower the flag and wipe his tears. That will probably stick with me forever. So I get my baby home, and I also did daycare. I watched the neighbor's baby at the same time, so I had both babies with me. That baby's mom was also a school teacher. So at that point, schools were back in session, but parents were just coming because we were all scared. People were just coming to pick up their kids. And she called me and she goes, I can't leave. I have to stay here because we have some kids here, some kids are leaving. She said, I don't know how long you'll have Sadie. So Sadie was with us for quite a while until Amy was able to get off work. But the significant part of that is Prince William County had 22 people die that day at the Pentagon. We are a small suburb, well, now a very large suburb of the Washington, D.C. area. The vast majority of our residents here are government employees, government contractors, military, and there was a significant number of people that didn't come home from work that day. So schools didn't know what to do, right? So teachers were there until kids were picked up. I had offered to go pick up my husband in town because mass transit had shut down, but also the phones were just not working. Oddly enough, I was able to communicate with family members with email. Back in the day of AOL and dial-up, for some reason that worked, but phones didn't. So I was able to contact my husband's family and let him know he was okay and he was on his way home. My family, but my mother and my grandmother just couldn't get in touch with us. So they drove to our home an hour from their home to check and make sure that he was okay. What he didn't mention in his comment was, when you live in the Washington, D.C. area, we have 3 major airports. We have Washington Reagan, we have Washington Dulles, and we have Baltimore Washington International. So we have 3 huge airports. There is always air traffic and always air noise and always something happening. It was eerily silent for a very long time. And because so many first responders were put into play, the counties were shifting forward. So Prince William County shifted into Fairfax. Fauquier County shifted into Prince William because they needed as much as they could get closer in, which in response meant non-stop sirens. And he didn't mention it in his, but I remember for days and months after, sirens would give him a flinch. It was hard because there was just non-stop sirens, and when he tried to evacuate the city, it's all you heard. So I had it's odd to me that I have 2 children born in 2 different times. Abby was born pre 9/11, and her brother Joey was born post 9/11. I have 2 kids born in 2 different worlds because everything changed that day. We were all innocent and clueless, and it could happen, but who was really going to attack us, right? After that day, our family now has an evacuation plan. Abby's dad always is usually in the city, usually far away. When they were still at home and still in school, we had an evacuation plan, and my job was to gather the kids, to gather important paperwork, and I was supposed to go to our rally point and just hope and pray that at some point he was going to catch up with us. And it's really kind of a sad statement that's how we live, that now there's a contingency plan should we ever become under attack again. And I think it's odd that I never, being born and raised in the Washington, D.C. metro area, in all of those years, that's the first time I ever even considered that I could possibly be in danger here. So, our airports were closed for a very long time. It took a while. I think the last of our area airports opened up a couple weeks before Thanksgiving. So, it really changed how you look at things, how you travel, how you approach going into the city. And it changed our lives forever. So, thank you.